Hey guys, this is my deck spotlight series where one of you sends me in a deck, I go over it, critique it, just show it off. Today we're going to be taking a look at a Shaddoll hero deck. This was sent in to me by Alex Malamas, I hope I pronounced that correctly. And basically it's what it sounds like. It's a Shaddoll deck that uses some of the new hero support and just builds on that and turns it into somewhat of a hybrid deck. Before I get into the cards, I do want to talk about the deck idea in general. I feel like hero support will make Shaddolls very strong, even though they're already very strong. So it's hard to say whether you want to go with like a hybrid deck or like this, or maybe just go with a Shaddoll deck with just some hero support, limited hero support. So it's up to you. I'm still kind of experimenting with that. Obviously, I don't build anything to OCG, so I'm not really as familiar with this stuff, and I will be, more as it comes out. But that's more of the debate that I want to kind of understand going forward, whether kind of a hybrid deck would be better, or just a Shaddoll deck that focuses more on heroes, and whether each one of those will be stronger. Either way, I still think a hybrid deck will be a decent deck, and it's just whether you want to think about making it more Shaddoll focused or make it, like it is now. So I'm just going to go over the cards that he has in his deck. 2 Bubbleman, obviously a very important card for a deck focusing on heroes. What a great card to force XYZ summoning and other plays that you want. Then Neos Alius, obviously helping him out to do additional plays here, which is just nice for him. And then he's running 2 Shadow Mist. Shadow Mist has a couple different effects that he's trying to abuse, which can be very, very powerful to search out what he needs, which is very nice. Then one Kuribandit, really good in this deck because a lot of the stuff he can benefit from. If something's in the graveyard, obviously Shaddolls activate, Shadow Mist activates, the heroes will be there for other things that you want to do. So it works out really nicely in this deck type. And then he's just running 2 of each of the Shaddolls, just kind of like a, not a mini Shaddoll engine, a pretty big Shaddoll engine, but not as big as like traditional Shaddolls. I think 2 is a good number for all of them, which are all very useful in their own ways. You could definitely run 3 of some of them, like maybe Hedgehog for more consistency. It really depends on what you're trying to do, but I think 2 is a fine amount with a deck that's more of a hybrid. He's also running 2 Summoner Monk, so usually you don't see Summoner Monk in Shaddolls, but he's using a deck that uses a lot of spell support. In addition, he wants to special summon Shadow Mist, which will give him the change quick play, which allows him to make his plays extremely quickly in this deck, so Summoner Monk makes a lot of sense and is really nice for what he's trying to do. And then one Thunder King Rai-Oh, obviously just kind of an anti-meta card that's light, so it works out in doing some of the things he wants to do. Not an essential card, but obviously a powerful anti-meta one. For the spell support 2 Emergency Call, obviously just his search out. If he was running like warriors that needed this, he could run Reinforcement of the Army instead, but it doesn't matter because he's only running heroes. But if he wants to add warrior support, he could, and just, put in reinforcement. 2 Mass Change, obviously giving him some power to get his heroes out very quickly, and then 2 Mass Change second. This is what can make heroes tech into any deck, which I probably will talk about when it comes out, but it's just very powerful in this deck type that Shaddolls become the heroes, everything becomes the heroes, and it becomes a very powerful way to bring out monsters. And then he's running 1 Mass Charge, just additionally a recycle card, kind of like Warrior Returning Alive or something like that, that just allows him to get his stuff back. Not an essential card because he has more of a hybrid deck. Would be better in more of a full kind of masked hero deck, but it still works out nicely in this deck. And then to Miracle Fusion, obviously he's going to have some consistency from the graveyard and from the Shaddolls and some of the things he's doing, so it makes sense to run this along with Shaddoll Fusion. He could run 3 of this. He has a big Shaddoll engine, so he could benefit from 3 especially because of the fact that you can use Shaddoll Fusion from the deck, which is very, very powerful. But again, he's doing more of a hybrid deck, so it's kind of up in the air. Also Raigeki, Soul Charge. He's not running anything like MST. That's a thing I'd probably consider, but it's hard with all the spell support that he needs to run the deck. And he can also go into his Masked Hero if he wants to get rid of back row. Otherwise, some typical back row. He's not running, Compulsory or Solemn Warning, which he should definitely consider. Again, it's just tough with a lot of the support he has. He's also running 2 Sinister Shadow Games. Obviously, a very powerful card for Shaddoll, so you definitely want to run this in a Shaddoll deck. He's just not running 3 because he has more, cards that are kind of hybrid. So it's, powerful card. Definitely should run it. Vanity's Emptiness. You don't have to run this. It's more of an anti-meta card, but if you want to run it, go for it. It can be nice, especially when you get like something like Dark Law out. Your opponent's going to be very, very limited in what they can do. So now for his extra deck, he's running 2 Construct and 2 Winda. Very, very powerful cards. You want to run as many of these as possible, but because he has a hybrid deck, he has to kind of throw in other things here. 1 Absolute Zero, 1 Shining with his Miracle Fusion, 1 Escuridao. This is a pretty bad card. I wouldn't say he shouldn't run it. It's just a bad card overall. Like, it's not a strong card at all. But it's kind of the only, like, way he can bring out certain things with Miracle Fusion. So he's limited in the fact that he might need to use Miracle Fusion with certain targets, like a Shaddoll and an Elemental Hero, to make something. So that's why he has Escuridao in here for consistency. So I wouldn't say not to run this, but you definitely have to think about the fact that it's not going to give you a lot of power in this deck type. And then one Acid, obviously another very powerful masked hero, so it's nice to have this in your deck type with your Bubblemans. And then 2 Dark Law. This is a ridiculous card, just super, super strong. You could probably run 3 of this if you want, but it wouldn't make a lot of sense in this deck because of it being a hybrid. But in a full Masked Hero deck, you'll probably see 3 of this because of how limiting it could be to the meta. And then one Koga, nice with his light in the deck, so he can do some additional power here. So Koga has some additional power in it, which can be pretty useful. And then he's running a couple Synchros, which is pretty normal for Shaddolls because of Falco. Armades and Goyo, these are pretty much the most common ones that you'll see in Shaddolls, but you can obviously put other ones in if you want to. It depends on his levels. 5 isn't going to come out very often because he only has like, Hedgehog and Kuribandit. So 5 isn't as important, but it still might come up, so you might want to have it. As far as the XYZs, he's running 1 Silent Honor and 1 Excalibur. Again, his deck is so fusion focused, he can't run a lot of XYZs. I would probably recommend taking out Excalibur for something that will be more useful. He had a lot of different ones in his side deck. One of them was Exciton, which I might put in. Any one of the other ones, you can try Lava Chain and set up things for your heroes. It's kind of up for debate. There's a lot of different things you could use. I feel like Excalibur is a really nice card in certain situations, but I feel like you want, since you're so limited in XYZs, you want the most versatile ones you could put in here. So definitely think about that. He was thinking about that a little bit in his side deck, but I think he should definitely consider whether Excalibur should have a main deck place in this deck. So overall, I really like the deck. Again, it's hard for me to make a huge comment on whether this is the most appropriate way to run the support with Shaddolls. When these cards come out, when I take a closer look at them, I'll have a bigger opinion on it. But I can see the real power behind this deck type, and it looks like it'll have a really lot of versatility and fun plays because there's so many different plays you can make. He has a lot of variety between fusions, between his plays, a lot of great consistency, and a lot of different things he could do. So he can bring out a Shaddoll or a hero fusion or a masked hero or Dark Law or synchros or XYZs. He has a lot of different stuff going on, and he can use that versatility to make a play off any one of his spells or just have a lot of answers to his opponent, which I think is really cool. I do want to mention a couple cards. If you don't want to focus more on back row, you can have something like Effect Veiler. Your 5 would come out more often. You'd have more plays to get into your 5, and then you could additionally have more light support to do other plays. Then you could run Chaos. You could also run just Chaos in general, but you'd have more of an engine to run Chaos if you want to. I think Foolish Burial would be nice to make a free target for something like Shadow Mist or some of the other things you want to do with Shaddolls to make things happen fast. So it's up to you. There's a lot of other cards you can use to mill, like Mathematician and all that stuff. So it's just up to you if you want to try to run it that way. But again, I do really like the deck type, and thank you to Alex Malamas for his submission. If you guys do have any decks you want me to showcase, send me a deck list, send me a submission through Skype or Twitter or something in the comments if you want. Send me a deck list or a picture of the deck, or both, preferably both, so I'll know all the cards, and I'll think about taking a look at it. But that's about it for me today. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you later.